Golden Law Monday. I'm Buddy Martin. The program is called The Buddy Martin Show, and we got some balls to talk about. What happened over the weekend, I wouldn't say it's transformative yet, but it sure put a lot of tingle back in watching the Florida Gators as they wound up romping over Kentucky for win number 4 in a game that had its ups and downs and mostly ups, even without two starters on offense. They were able to make debuts starting quarterback, his second start, DJ Lagway. And of course, the 5 touchdowns, by the way, my guy, who is Jaden Ball, and the guy I've talked about since program since spring. Watch out for this guy. And now you saw what he did. Exciting things happening from Florida. They're off this week, but we got plenty to talk about. So come and join us tonight. Our guests are going to be Shane Matthews, who's online in the orange and blue room, Franz Beard of Gator Bait, and Scott Carter of University of Florida, FloridaGators.com. Come and join us. It's going to be a fun night. I think Florida football might even be fun again. You think? Could be. It's a little bit different out there. It's a different feel of what's going on. And I, for one, certainly enjoyed it. And I hope you did too. I think you probably did. It's a lot more fun to pull for a team, or at least follow a team that gets some W's. And you got a young talent like DJ Lagway and like Jaden Ball. It's really fun. So it's going to be a fun season. How many other games we got left on the Buddy Martin Show? Tell your friends and neighbors we're on the air.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking, but be kind, doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster. The owner, because they got all them teeth, but no toothbrush. Boys call white. I'm ready. My whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great
rookie mistake. But, you know, you get him in practice and you tag off like, oh, we got him. Nope, not in the game. You got to get them on the ground. They're really hard to tackle.
Yeah. Big swing right there. Obviously, got the interception.
This two plays would have set him in the backfield for a big loss.
No, the interception, Humphrey was out of bounds. I mean, Baker lost sight of it because he's out of the field of play. He comes back in and intercepts it. I mean, like I said, it's a forced throw by Baker. Watch Humphrey on the line. 44 on top. He's with this tight end. He's He runs. You can see him at angle. You see what Baker. That's what Baker sees. You see the guy in the back. He's at the goal line out of bounds. He runs back in. Good play by him. I think the defensive player should have to reestablish himself, Bill. He should report as eligible, right? It's unfair. He can't disappear. He's over on the white sideline. Run the ball. He's running. Forward. Good decision. That's what Baker should have done.
You really got to be disciplined against Lamar. One bad move, losing the game.
Early game day here in Tuscaloosa, South Carolina at 11 o'clock. Early game day, I was up at 5 a.m. Early game day, OOTD. On is Alabama Crimsonet, Alabama A top, Bama bottom, Bama Crimsonet boom. My bag with my lovely bag. Here today because we're changing our uniforms at halftime.
We got on the J&J. We got the J&J, the Chubbies, the Clouds, and the bag fits snug to the shoulder. Low, that's it.
Head to the game and roll with the tide.
That's the same thing that happened at Tampa. They got a touchdown called back on the holding. Here's another one.
They had a lot of penalties to start the season. Of course, that was the whole, not enough guys lined up on the line of scrimmage in the whole Chiefs game. And kind of eliminated those pre-snap penalties. Right there, was that it? No. That's a hold. You just got to pulls them to a little bit. That's what's fun about those hat-on-hat big guy. They get these guards falling out of a guard blocking a linebacker. They have the other guards blocking the free safety. They can get down the field. We got the holding ball. It's great design. Touchdown. They lit the two outside backers. You couldn't have a better call at a perfect time. That running back straight up.
Hello, Shane. How you doing? Shane Matthews. Good morning. Good afternoon. Welcome.
What's up, buddy?
We found you finally. How are you, Shane?
I'm good. I'm watching Peyton and Eli.
Oh, you always preferred Peyton and Eli to Buddy. Now, come on, man. Give me 5. We got to talk some ball here. Sorry about the little interruption there, but thanks, folks, for hanging in there, waiting. The vagaries of the internet. And Shane, I just got to say, I've changed my mind about some things. I'm not ready to make the ultimate commitment, but last week I took a little bit of an oath, step back, and said, you know what? Let me see if I can look at this a different way, because I had gotten negative, and we can get negative real easy when he's losing around you, and you hear Reed speaking negative stuff. I realized I was one of those doing that, so I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But I went into the game saying, you know what? I'm going to have a little different attitude about this. After the Tennessee game, a lot of people were mad. There's a team they had on the ropes, a game for the taking, and it's easy to get mad after that. But what a surprise we got, Shane.
Well, I thought we played well. I think we've had really good game plans the last 2 weeks, 2 of the best that I think Billy and the staff have put together. And I think obviously everybody knows how DJ and Jaden Ball played, but I thought the reason we won the football game was because we controlled the line of scrimmages on both sides of the ball, which we have not done really in SEC play, especially against Kentucky the last few years.
there were a lot of things that were different, but mostly it was a different feel. Now, people look at the score and think, well, that must have blown them out. But did you think Billy got a little too conservative at the end of the first half?
Mm-mm.
You're okay with that?
I didn't.
Okay.
I mean, see, here's what. Again, I mean, you can always question stuff. That's the great thing about sports and whatever. I think it was about a minute and a half. We got it back, and a lot of it depends on the first play you call, how it goes. Then you get into your 2-minute drive, but you also got to kind of feel how the game is going. So, I mean, yeah, you could say, yeah, he got conservative, or you could say it was a good decision that he didn't. I had no problem with it.
Well, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I didn't get upset about it. Sometimes you got to play the game like you feel the game, and maybe one thing leads to another. Anyway, it turned out to be okay. As we say good evening to our friends and neighbors. Sorry for the late start. David Baldoff, Buck Wade, Freddie Weeby, Dilly Dilly to you, my friend, Bruce Green, Toby Permeter, all you folks out there. Buck Wade, Van Der, tons of them. The same one.
By the way, buddy, watching the Bucks and the Ravens, the Bucks had a 4th and 1. You know what play they ran?
Jet sweep.
Jet sweep for a first down. Just wanted to put that out there.
No, we know that these things can go either way. I'm not a fan of that play. I know you're a play caller, and I understand you have to have your whole arsenal at your display, and you have to be able to make those chancy calls. Sometimes they're brilliant. But, yeah, look, it works half the time probably, but I didn't like the call still. So let's get right to the heart of things here. I mean, I don't want to go to the comparative scores at this point in time, but, Florida played a team that just lost to Georgia by a point, okay, and beat a pretty decent team, as a matter of fact, too. So Kentucky was a favorite in that game. Who'd ever thought a team could come in and lose 2 but starters, quarterback and running back, and come back with the best performance offensively? I don't know if Billy's ever had a better one. I didn't look at the stats. Now they were very high, and of course the points were big. And the play he got out of my 2 favorite guys, and you know who they are. I've been on them for a while. Jaden Ball was one of my guys, and of course DJ Lagway. And now you look around and see other sophomores popping. You know what, Shane? They got some good players on the team. If they keep them around, they could be really good.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to get too excited because every game is different. Kentucky played Georgia very tough. They beat Ole Miss, but every game is its own entity. We played complementary footballs, like Coach Napier likes to say. It was probably the best we've had since he's been here. I mean, we caused 3 turnovers. When you get a short field, you're able to blow people out, or not blow people out because we didn't blow them out, but you're able to put a lot of points on the board. And we had a lot of big plays, explosive plays on both sides of the ball. And it was just one of those good nights. It was homecoming, had a lot to look forward to. The crowd was outstanding. Give them credit, but we will know more about this football team in the next 4 weeks. That will tell you everything you need to know because you're playing 4 really good football teams that have tremendous quarterbacks and great play callers. And so I think people need to be excited, but as I stated, we'll find all about the Gators the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, we got a couple of weeks to think about it, talk about it. One of the big stories, there'll be several, is Cormani McLean. I think most people are familiar with that story. A really good column on Gator Bay today by our colleague, Carlton Reese, about what happened to Cormani McLean. Some people don't know. He, of course, was a Lakeland Dreadnought. He's committed to Miami. And then he went out to Colorado with Dion, and something happened. We're not sure what. But he got into Dion's doghouse early on. There are all kinds of stories about that. I won't comment because I don't know. But nonetheless, he came back here and as a walk-on, Shane, all right? And when they had the injury in the secondary, he got his chance. Now, I didn't look at him when he came in. I didn't see number 25. I wasn't watching. But I saw the pick. And I thought to myself, who is that guy running with the ball with such grace and speed? And he looks like he's a cut above everybody else out there. And it was indeed Cormani McLean. Now, if that guy gets his act together, this is a huge get in the secondary. You start thinking about the future. Now, you can't get too far ahead of yourself because you're just 4-3. You're trying to get to 6-6, and we're going to talk about that. I see one winnable game. I don't know where the other is going to come from. And suddenly, a season that was lost at least is fun to have. The games are fun. The players are fun to watch. And they got a puncher's chance of doing something, Shane. So let me ask you straight up. 4-3 with the coming schedule they've got, starting with Georgia, of course, what I call the Bataan Death March. And then all those teams, including Ole Miss and LSU and Texas and what have you. They need to squeeze in 2 wins. I think we both agree that one of them will be Florida State. What's the other team they can beat, Shane?
Well, we should beat. I mean, we're a better team than Florida State. I mean, you're going to win on the road. I mean, crazy things can happen in that game. I mean, you would think it would be one of the home games, either LSU or Ole Miss. But my concern is we've not seen any offenses and quarterback play like those two teams have. That's why I say the next 4 weeks, it's going to be a huge challenge. But you still got to go play the football game. Anything can happen. And it was great to see Cormani come in the game. The interception wasn't the play that did much for me. That was a good athletic play by him, but just a horrific play by their third-string quarterback.
I know what you're going to say. You're going to say the breakup of the pass was better, right?
Oh, yeah. He played the ball perfectly. Great technique. Used the correct arm to defend the ball, to deflect it, I should say. That was more impressive to me than the pick six because the kid threw the hitch route like 8 seconds too late. But he showed great ball skills, making the catch look easy. I would assume I don't know if Jakeem Jackson's out for the year because he's been out for a while. But I would assume that he's probably going to have to play moving forward. I don't know if Jason Marshall will be back, which is unfortunate because I feel like he's played better than anybody on our defense, and he's an NFL guy. Shoulder injury, I don't know how severe it is, so we'll just have to wait and see what they say next week.
Here's a guy I might know. We find out he actually got on the air tonight. I thought it was you again, Scott. We couldn't get on the air. We had problems. Don't tell me Scott Carter's jinxed us again.
No, hopefully you can hear me.
I got you, buddy. I got you. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead and ask your question, Shane, what you just asked about the injury.
What was my question?
Yes, who was hurt?
Oh, yes. I mean, we don't know the extent of Jason Marshall's injury, but I would assume that he might be out for a while. It's my guess.
Has he said anything, as Billy's saying, about it? Scott?
No, I mean, after the game the other night, he was non-committal on anything. Obviously, it was so soon, too. I was talking to somebody afterward who's in the medical field. I mean, it looked like your classic shoulder got popped out. We'll see. Some guys return quick. Some guys take a long time. But I heard you guys talking about Jakeem Jackson, too. He's been out for a while. So, they're going to definitely have to I think play Cormani McLean at least more from what we know right now. Things could change, but this bye week couldn't come at a perfect time. They had 15 guys out last week. 14 were listed on the injury, and then Bryce Thornton obviously didn't dress. He was listed not on the injury report, so they really need some guys to get back for the stretch run.
Shane, what surprised you the most about the game against Kentucky? What was it? What about which team? What was the thing that surprised you the most, Shane?
It was how we dominate. Like I said earlier, how we dominated the line of scrimmage. Hadn't seen that against an SEC opponent really in quite some time, especially with the way Kentucky has played us in the last few years. They hang their hat on physicality, but we won that battle Saturday night.
Yeah, people had not seen DJ Lagway. The
Yeah.
accuracy of his throws. And he throws the ball over the middle. A lot of quarterbacks don't like Shane, to throw the ball over the middle with great accuracy. He laid some dimes in there, were really remarkable. And he had, I believe, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he had 3 passes of 30 or more yards, or 20, what was the number? 3 of 30 or more, or 4 of 30. I've forgotten which one.
Well, he averaged 37 yards of completion. So
On 7 pass
on
receptions.
7 passes, yeah, he hit one, 58, hit a couple of 40. Yeah, but I mean, he obviously is good at the long ball. Elijah Badger afterward was talking about how he's never had a quarterback before who throws such a nice deep ball. And the thing that really is, impressed me more about DJ than anything else is just his composure, his maturity. I still remember when he was surprised when he first arrived in campus back in January, the day that Emmitt Smith flew in from Texas for Gatorade. They presented him there with the Gatorade National Player of the Year. He'd never met Emmitt Smith. 30 people came from his hometown. He didn't know any of this. He thought he was going over to the locker room just to look at some jerseys. That's how they sold it to him. And then he walks out there, and there's Emmitt. And I just remember hanging out with, behind the scenes that day. I'm like, man, this guy's only 18, and he looks like he's a 20-year veteran the way he's handling this. I know when I was 18, I would have handled it a lot differently. So that's what's impressed me the most about him from day one. And I think that's why you can see him go out there in these situations that he's been faced with and do what he's done. I think he's only scratched the surface, obviously, as a quarterback, but he's got all the tools and the intangibles from what I can tell.
You have to get you have a bond with the team. It takes a while. This team has opportunities to peel off here. There's been no sign of quit that I can recognize. Shane, have you seen any quit on this team so far?
No. I mean,
have you seen any quit of any kind?
No, I really haven't. I mean, that's been impressive,
And I want to just say that part of that is the commitment by DJ Lagway and his family. They came in there to help roster build. They didn't come out there just to get a big old NIL deal for themselves and whatever. And I think their commitment, and there has been part of the glue, Shane, that's held them together during this time to see what's on the other side. Am I wrong, Scott?
Well, I will say this I mean, look, I think people don't want to say it, but I think you got to give a lot of credit to Billy Napier and his staff.
That's my point, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look, for whatever the record ends up and the way the season started, the effort these kids have put out there has been phenomenal. And like I said, they got some good young talent. I think Billy has called his best games the last 2 weeks. And we've had a great plan defensively. And, I agree with Scott. I agree with Scott about DJ. DJ, I know everybody here gets so enamored with his deep ball. But, buddy, I've told you a million times that those to me I expect him to – I don't expect you – he's completing more than I expected because that's not going to happen moving forward, in my opinion. He's not going to hit them all. But his composure, his football IQ, the way he handles the offense and stuff is crazy to me. And that's a credit to him, probably his dad, because his dad's a former player. But I think you got to credit the Coach O'Hara, the quarterback coach, and you got to credit Billy Napier for a lot of his being prepared and not looking with the deer in the headlights look, so to speak.
Yeah, I just can't. I see little things here. Like you said about Emmitt Smith in the meeting. I saw yesterday somebody had Lagway's dad at the Gator Walk. He stood there and he hugged every kid on that team that came through there. His dad did. And I think those little things from a guy who's a star, mean a lot to the rest of the team. That's what you call team building. And as I told you, Shane, I loved the guy when I was first starting to throw the ball. I'm no expert on it like you are. But, boy, you talk about touch. And you're the one who kept saying, Shane, throw the ball down the field, throw the ball down the field. Well, he did, and look what he did with those four. Those are some dimes and also some great catches. So you think about what those wide receivers could be, Scott, with that group they got now, DK and Wilson, that whole bunch. They got some guys who can catch it and run. And so I'm beginning to think this team is going to be fun to watch on offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at what they built, I think the skill players on offense is definitely a strength of this team. They've definitely won in the transfer portal with DK and Badger. I think both of those guys have been excellent pickups. And you still have some of the young guys like Mizell and Hawkins and Gene. You know, we've seen little flashes of all those guys, but they're going to be counted on more next season, obviously. But yeah, I think going back to your original point, buddy, I mean, I agree with it totally. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, character only goes so far in football. Having good players on any team. Eventually, you've got to win. You can have a bunch of choir boys, and if they go 0-12, nobody cares. But, you know, if you have that and can win and you can get through adverse situations like they faced this year and come out ahead somehow, I mean, that's only going to help in the future. But I still think a lot of those questions are unanswered, at least in my view. I think we're going to find out really what we've all been waiting to find out on this team in these next 4 games. But there is certainly in a lot better situation today than they were 3 or 4 weeks ago. And, you know, you got to give the coaches and the players credit for hanging in there, showing signs of improvement, and suddenly making this stretch, while still very difficult, you know, with what we've seen in college football this season. I mean, it's not going to surprise me if they pull an upset. They need to really pull one for Billy Napier, but I mean, it won't surprise me like it would have a month ago.
Yeah, and I want to get to that in just a second, talking about upsets, but I want to get also back to what Shane said. For those of us who criticize Billy, and we all have at some point, maybe not you, Scott, it's important to say, well, who recruited DJ Lagway? You know, who recruited him? Who recruited the rest of the guys on the squad? A freshman running back like Ball, who would go for 5 touchdowns. Who recruited those guys? They get it. All the people complain about the recruiting. How about those recruits? So Billy doesn't get credit sometimes, which he deserves. It's exciting, but I want to get down to and narrow this thing down to what's realistic. We're just guessing here. We don't know. We can do the numbers pretty easy. 4-3 with the Bataan Death March starting, Georgia in 2 weeks. All of a sudden, Georgia doesn't look like they're unbeatable. Remember, they only beat Kentucky by 1 point. I don't go into the whole comparative scores thing. So there are teams like Georgia, obviously LSU, Texas, Ole Miss, who am I forgetting? Of course, Florida State coming up. They got to find. We think they can beat Florida State. All right, we think they can. We agree on that. We think we can beat Florida. So you can hold off on that answer, but then there's one more team they got to beat. Who is it going to be? They're all nationally ranked teams. Hold that thought. Let me do this quick read commercial for our sponsor. Franz is joining us for a minute. Shane, you can stay around for a second. We got a late start. And we'll tackle that question straight up. So, okay, here's what I see. Here's what I see. Here's what I see. I want to thank our sponsor tonight, Meldon Law. They, of course, won't back down. Jeffrey Meldon has been supporting these Gators a long time. They have they're the official law firm, entry law firm of the University of Florida. They do really good things there. If you want to score some tickets or whatever, I suggest you keep paying attention to Meldon Law's Facebook page. You get game tickets, all kind of packages, giveaway trips, etc. They, of course, are Gators, and they're also loggers. Locations, 4 places to serve you. New office in Williston, Ocala, Gainesville, and Lake City. Meldon Law, they won't back down. Let's go see what this guy's doing here. Let me throw the questions on the floor to you guys. You're trying to find one more win. You think it can be Florida State, all right? And if they could get to that, Billy's got I think we said his coach of the year coaching job there. But give us your thoughts about that, guys, one at a time. You want to start, Shane? Where's that other win going to come from?
That's a great question. I mean, two of them at home. LSU. I think Garrett Nussmeier is the best quarterback in the league. That's going to be tough.
Ole
And
Miss.
they're playing their better defense now. You know, my LSU buddies tell me they're better on defense now that they lost Harold Perkins for the year, whatever that means. Look, Ole Miss has lost 2 games. They probably should have won them both, quite honestly. They had them won. And, I mean, that'd be a good one to win. I don't know, because I still, as much as our defense has improved, and I am so glad to see it, I need to see it against a quality quarterback. That's all I'm saying. Because UCF can't throw the forward pass. Nico is going to throw, he'll make a great throw 1 out of every 15. And then Brock Vandergriff is just, that Kentucky offense and passing game is just brutal. So I'm taking nothing away with what we've done, but that's reality. The reality is you're going to have the top 4 quarterbacks in the league that we play next week, in the next 4 weeks.
All right. We don't gavel that much, I don't think. I'm going to learn more about how you play it. Place a bet, I don't really know. But who does that? Doesn't Hard Rock do that? Don't they? Can't you make a bet at Hard Rock? I believe that's the only place you can bet in Florida. Anyway, so I'm going to start looking at my picks and see how much money I can make off those. But here's the deal. If we had to go in and find a team, said this is a team Florida can beat, and put $1,000 on that team and your money now, Shane, who are you going to put it on?
Florida State.
You got to have one more. I'm giving you Florida State.
Like I said, you can ask me after we play Georgia, because I said, it's all going to come down to facing a team that can throw the football. Not because I'm concerned about our secondary. It's just when you're one-dimensional, you're easier to stop. I think everybody would agree with that.
But Shane, you're a highly paid sports talk show host who's supposed to tell us what's going to happen. We don't want you to tell us after it happened.
Well, I understand that, but I also picked us to go 8-4 this year.
So
my prediction, I'm done predicting. No. Or was it 9-3, Scott? Because Chris Harry gives me crap about it all the time.
Yeah, you were high, man. 8-3, 9-4. You were up there. You still have a chance, Shane, if they run the table, man. I mean,
yeah,
still have
very
a
true.
chance.
Very true. I'm very concerned about playing guys that can throw the football, because that makes you totally different as an offense.
Well, he's not going to play along. Scott, maybe you will.
I'm not playing along. No.
Well, I mean,
let Scott do it.
If I'm here and I have to pick one, I'm going to go with the Ole Miss, because what Shane said. I mean, I think they're the one on their schedule with 2 losses coming up in this next 4 games. I just don't see it. I know Georgia did have a close game with Kentucky, but I think Georgia is clearly a class of the SEC in my eyes. I think they're back on track. I think Kirby's got them fired up again. I don't see the Gators winning that game. And Texas, we got to play at 11 a.m. out there, guys. I don't know. That's going to be a tough one. And LSU, man, they just seem to have our number lately. So the only one I can think of is Ole Miss, because they've lost a couple of games that I didn't expect them to lose. And, the Gators, if I'm Billy Napier, man, I'm going to be a little fired up for that game too.
I want to mention something, and I don't know, I'm just thinking outside the box here, but the last couple of games, you go back to Mississippi State, Tennessee, and this past weekend. And I don't know if it's because, and I don't think Billy feels the pressure or whatever, but it's almost like he's like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I'm going to call the game different. I just feel that way the last 3 games. And hopefully that continues, if that makes any sense.
Scared money. There you go. Absolutely makes sense. Well, this is a guy who's been waiting all along to spring this on us. I know he's going to pick Georgia. I just know he's going to pick Florida to beat Georgia. Take it away, Franz Beard.
I would love for the Gators to beat the Poodles. Goodness, I would pull for Al Qaeda against them. I would pull for Iran. The only thing General Sherman, the General Sherman's big mistake was he didn't detour to Athens, burn the place down, and then salt the earth so nothing would grow there for 100 years. Um, that's just how I feel about Georgia, and nothing's going to change that. I'd love to see the Gators beat Georgia.
Can they get to 6 wins? That's the question.
Stranger things have happened, but I think that I think LSU or Ole Miss, it's going to be one of those two. Ole Miss is if Ole Miss plays up to what they are capable of doing, we've got no shot. If they do, I don't know that they will. The other thing is this. LSU, we have played LSU when they had a better quarterback than Garrett Nussmeier, and he's good. But Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback that's been in this league since Joe Burrow. Isn't it amazing that it's been that we look back on Joe Burrow and it's been 5 years since he was in this league? But we came close with them 2 years when they had Jaden Daniels, and this guy's not as good as Jaden Daniels. So, but again, if Garrett Nussmeier gets hot, those receivers get hot, you're looking at it. But I believe that it's got to be one of those two games. As much as I despise Georgia, playing them right now, may not be good. But here's the thing that Florida may do. Florida, I think, is going to be good enough to scare the bejabbers out of anybody. Could Florida go in there and maybe create a situation for Georgia that they lose another one down the line by playing them so tough? It's possible. But again, it's improbable, let's just say. But I think Florida is in a better position right now to play Georgia in a tough ball game than they were 3 weeks ago. Right now, I like the way they're playing. And let me throw something else at you guys real quick, since we're talking about the Gators. Have you guys looked at how many guys are returning who are starters next year? This team is starting to show life, show that it's capable. And have you looked at how many guys? They're returning 4 offensive linemen next year, because I know Austin Barber, if he goes, he's nuts because he's not ready, but another year he could be. They could have 4 offensive linemen plus 4 backups back, all their tight ends, Trey Wilson and some guys that can really run, 3 running backs, DJ Lagway, and by my count, 16 guys who are in the rotation on defense. That could be a really good ball club next year if they get some momentum this year that can carry over, and depending on who's the coach.
Well, let's see what happens. We have a long way to go through the next 2 weeks. Let's see if Billy can keep his job. And of course, I'm not saying he did, but he certainly gave thought to it. And I think the performance got people convinced there are some good things going on there. And when you see the young talent that's developing, he is getting good young players, and he is developing young players. I just love how these young guys play. Terrific. I'll let Shane go with this. Shane, how much better is this team than what it was in the first 2 or 3 games? How much of it is development by the coaches? How much is coaching strategy? And how much is it just a better unit because of Billy's leadership? What is the reason for this team playing better than it's been playing, Shane?
Well, there's a couple, in my opinion. We're playing our better players. We started, Franz may know, or Fran and Scott may remember Billy a couple of weeks ago say we think we found our 5-man rotation or 5 starters on offensive line. Why we ever rotated, I've never understood that. We still rotate a lot on defense, but not as much, and we're playing the guys that actually make plays. I think that's one big thing. And the second thing is I just think Billy has called the game offensively totally different than the first 2 weeks of the game.
In what
of the
way?
season.
In what way?
He's been more aggressive. You go back and watch A&M and Miami, it was like we wanted to try to establish the run and play keep away, and we were just so conservative. We have not been conservative in Mississippi State in our 3 wins or in our 1 loss at Tennessee. I thought that was one of his better. But like I said earlier, it's almost like he's like, you know what? We got a bad record. My record here and my job may be in jeopardy. So let's let it all hang out now. And I think that's the way to go. And I think we've played much better doing that.
All right. One question people want to know about Des Watson, and you have been critical of him, Franz. Shane. Big Des played pretty well the other night. What's your take on him now?
Well, I have nothing against Des. I just don't think he should be playing in the Southeastern Conference. And he did make some plays the other day, and I think it's a liability. That's just my opinion. People can agree with it or not. It's nothing against him, but you've never seen anybody his size play in the Southeastern Conference. The kid from the Cody kid years ago from Alabama was nowhere near his size, but he was a first-round draft pick too. So, like I said, hopefully he plays really well when he's in the game, but I don't like it when he's in the game.
All right, what's the best thing about this team right now, Shane?
They play hard, and I think they're all excited, and I'm excited, but I think we need to control our excitement until we play these 4 teams. We are getting ready. Like I said, we are playing 4 elite offenses with elite quarterbacks and really good play callers. And if our defense can control them, we're moving in the right direction.
Shane Matthews, he's the star of the show. Pot up with Matthews.
No, Scott Carter is.
He's doing it tomorrow?
No, you are. I said Scott's the star of all our shows.
He stars all the shows. That's right. Star of this show too. And you have who tomorrow on your show?
The star of this show, Buddy Martin.
That's weak, man. Can't do better than
bring
that.
Something tomorrow, buddy. Bring your best.
Who else you got?
I have a couple of people waiting. It's bye week. People are taking vacations.
I
need to take one.
Pressure on me, buddy. I'm coming tomorrow, so get ready.
Yeah.
All right? I'll be
All
ready.
right.
I'm going to remind you of who told you about a guy named Jaden Ball a long time ago.
Well, buddy, your comparison is not correct, though. You have to admit that.
Hang on now. Wait a minute. Don't challenge me on this. I got the tape.
No. I know what you said, but you told me he reminded you of who?
I told you he thought he was quick. He had quick steps. I said he
What player? Oh, do you want to wait and do this on my show tomorrow? I said,
Sure,
what player
I'll tell
did you
you.
say
I
Jaden
can't
Ball
remember. I
was
can
like?
tell you what I said, though, and you challenged me on the size.
He's not even close to that guy's size.
No. I said the size I gave you and told you. You told me I was dead wrong about it because I said, well, I'm reading off the roster right here.
Yeah, I still don't believe he's that tall, but
Okay.
he's nowhere near the size of the guy or the player that you said he reminded you of.
Well, you'll take him, right?
Oh, I love the kid. I like
Little
Katie
nice,
Daniels too. I can't
all
wait
right.
till he plays.
All right.
next
Well, I
year.
can't wait tomorrow to get on you about this. Good
Are you
night,
going to tell him who you compared him to, or no?
No,
Or you just
tomorrow
want
morning to tune in. If I don't even remember, we'll
Okay.
talk about it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
If you want to
I'll
say,
look
go
it.
ahead. I can't remember.
You said he was he reminded you of Herschel Walker.
No, I never said that. You're wrong.
Oh, we have it on tape, buddy.
I
We
would
have it on
know.
tape.
I'll bet you
We have it on tape.
$1,000. You don't have me. I
We
would
have that
never
on tape.
compare
We have that on
him
tape.
to Herschel Walker.
I
And
just
in
won
many
$1,000.
years, I saw Herschel Walker play.
Yeah.
I've never compared him to Herschel Walker. You got
Okay.
crazy? No.
Send me my check. I'll give you my address.
You should bet this instead. Heineken 0.0. That's what you need. No
Yeah,
alcohol. A case of that is much better to send than betting $1,000. $1,000 you can't afford to lose. You can't
I'll
afford.
win. What do you mean? I'll win. I don't have to worry about it. I got it nailed.
You ain't winning that one, buddy. We have other
knows
journalists that heard it.
Oh, that's okay. He won. That's all right. Ask the listeners; they'll tell you.
The listeners and a couple of journalists were texting me during that show.
Guys here already have been talking about, hey, buddy, you had it right about Jaden Ball. They recognize genius. You don't.
No, we're not discussing that, buddy. We're discussing your comparison.
You deflect it on something else. I've never.
All right, we're wasting your quality time with
another
your guest.
$1,000. I did not compare him to Herschel Walker. I'll give you $2,000 if you find it on tape. No way. I'm do that.
I'm gonna buy me a new set of irons.
You ain't gonna buy with my money. I can tell you that. I never said it. All right. I'll talk to you in the morning, Shane. Thanks.
Y'all be good.
All right. Hey, Franz, you could have jumped in and helped me out a little bit. All right. Stand by for a second. Scott, we'll need you for a couple of minutes. I'm going to tell my friends and neighbors about our sponsor, TitanMRI.com. If you need an MRI right now and you're in the Gainesville, Ocala area, I've got a deal for you. You will be glad you listened to me. I tell you about a place you can go where they'll make it easier for you to have your MRI. And if you say, well, I have a hard time leaving the office, I can't get off, don't worry about it. They'll custom make an appointment for you, and you can go there and they will take care of your needs. If you say, well, I don't have my insurance, I don't have insurance. Okay, well, for cash and card and not a highway robbery, you can go in there and get your MRI. And also, if you have a problem getting into the cages like Franz and I and Scott do, we're big guys, and you're claustrophobic, they'll also address that. They realize it's not a comfortable thing for most people. So check them out. I guarantee you'll be glad you did. TitanMRI.com. All right, Scott. Life's a little better for you Gators these days around the place. What's it been like? I know you haven't been in a lot since then, but what's the temperature like around the Hogtown right now after the win over Kentucky?
Well, you know how it is, buddy. Everybody gets in a little better mood after a win, especially on Monday. It's a lot nicer at work, and that was a nice win. It was something that I think the Gators obviously needed. I think fans needed after the showing at Tennessee. I mean, a game that they had every chance to win and couldn't pull it out, and they came back and answered it against Kentucky. And without Graham Mertz, DJ Lagway didn't miss a beat. The running game didn't miss a beat with Montrell Johnson out. So yeah, I think again we're like we talked earlier. It's really going to be these next 4 games, but as of now, you can't deny the Gators are in a better position now than a month ago. It's some credit goes to those players for keeping their heads in it, for the coaches for trying to figure some things out, and it looks like they've discovered some things. And now we're really going to find out, what this team is made of, which that's what makes these seasons fun, guys. I mean, I can't think of a season in my time around where, this team could be 5-2 if they'd somehow find a way to beat Tennessee. And it's just like, so they're 4-3, but you got to win a couple of these games. And, I'm curious to see whenever Vanderbilt gets ranked, guys, everything's off the table. Anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
So, Vanderbilt is number 25. They host Texas this weekend. I was looking at Texas' schedule. It's not exactly like they played anybody. Their big win is at Michigan. And Michigan's not good. So anything can happen.
Interesting. I'll let you guys weigh in on this. I'll let you go, Scott. But welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma fired its offensive coordinator today. Abysmal showing they had at South Carolina. And, of course, Texas thought they could bail it out with Arch Manning and couldn't. They got themselves behind the 8 ball. And, boy, talk about a guy fired up. Kirby Smart was fired up after that game, and he really said a few things he probably wishes he didn't. Scott?
Well, I mean, you're talking about the Oklahoma move, not surprising at all. But Kirby Smart, I think, again, I think Georgia, to me, I know they're not number 1. I think Oregon's number 1. I'd still take Georgia over anybody right now, only because, they lost to Alabama. But for a team to come back like they did after getting down so big, that was that opened my eyes a little bit. And they've been really hitting all the cylinders since. So, but again, I mean, this SEC season is, I think it's Georgia right now above everybody else. And that's why when you asked earlier, buddy, like, what's the best chance? To me, it looks like Ole Miss, but I'm not writing off Texas, even though it's 11 a.m. game.
Really?
Texas doesn't doesn't scare me like I thought they might.
All right. We got a time on Georgia, Florida. They announced they do a tease on that way to make you read 10 paragraphs to find out what the time is. I would be shocked if it wasn't 2:30. What time do you think it is?
3:30.
It's not. So apparently here it says announced Georgia Northern British Office. I finished strong. Up next is Florida. Cocoa Time has been announced. They haven't told me yet. I'll bury the lead. That's the announcement of the Bulldogs and Gators will kick off at 3:30. All right. It needs you to believe that they're not going to. So surprise, surprise, all about nothing. All right, Scott. Thank you very much, my man. Appreciate it very much. Glad we got on the air tonight, and you always bring a lot to the show.
All right, guys. You all have a good night. We'll see
Great
you soon.
Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Talk to you later, man. Appreciate it.
Later.
All right, Francis, I left this spot for you because you have a lot of catching up to do about the football game. And then I want to get a little basketball talk in because it's coming up, and you are Mr. Basketball. So where do you want to start?
Well, we can start with the football. I got to tell you something, buddy. If they go 6-6 somehow, he's not getting fired. I'm telling you, right?
Well, I agree with you. No, I'm not sure he'll get fired anyway, but I guarantee you he will not go. He will not get fired if they go 6-6.
That's what everybody had him going to begin with, and all of a sudden he may pull it off. You got 4 games coming up, and quite frankly, I would not be surprised. The Georgia game, I'd be more surprised than the others. But I got to tell you something: Georgia's beatable. Alabama proved that, and that's not a good Alabama team. And people can say, "Well, look how they came back." Yeah, look how Vanderbilt dominated the fourth quarter against Alabama. Alabama's not a very good football team. And you want to talk about people who are upset. This is Florida fans and Billy Napier. That's like sitting in a church nursery, and rocking the babies compared to what's going on in the great state of Alabama right now. Those folks are wondering, oh my gosh, what have we done? And they've got a buyout of $70 million they're looking at. And, I guarantee you Jimbo could sit there and tell him, life ain't so bad living on 75, 70. I could probably squeeze by on that too. They've got a tough situation there. And it's going to be made so much tougher because of the fan base. I think the fans here at Florida, I think there's a hardcore that want him gone no matter what. But I think, buddy, that there is a group that has watched these last 3 weeks and believe that, okay, if he can somehow get to 6-6 or maybe even 5-7 with a really close game among those 4. I think there's an awful lot of people who believe that he needs to have the second chance, or however many chances you think it is. And when I look at that roster, and I wrote about it today, that, okay, Austin Barber has got to come back. I mean, he really does. He's not ready yet. He's playing so well, but he's not ready to play in the NFL yet. He needs another year. But you get Austin Barber, Najee Harris, Jake Slaughter, who I think is the best center in the SEC. I really believe he's the best. Then on the right side, you got Damian George or Cameron Waits. And then you got the right tackle. And they love this kid, Fletcher Westphal. They love this kid, Caden Jones. And not only that, they got Devin Manuel, who they signed in the portal, who's been hurt all year, and they love this guy. The offensive line is going to be solid. You got Trey Wilson. You got a lot of guys that can run. You've got a bunch of good running backs, and you got DJ Lagway and all your tight ends. I got to tell you something, buddy. I've been impressed with the tight. Hayden Hansen has been.
He's a big stud.
I mean, he's a great blocker. He's proven he can catch the football. But you over on the defensive side of the ball, and they got like 16 of their top 20 guys coming back. This could be a really good football team next year. So I got to think, first off, how does Scott Strickland think in this? And Scott Strickland just may be thinking, 5-7, and he plays these 4 games tough. Look at what we got coming back. Could be. I don't know. I'm not Scott Strickland. I'm not the people who write the checks. I know that I believe that based on what I heard Saturday when I walked out to my car and then stood around in the area where people were still tailgating after the win and listening to people talk. I believe that there's a lot of softening toward Billy and a lot of people who believe that they're finally convinced that they're making progress, that they're an improved football team. I had one guy from Jacksonville who told me that word for word. He says, for the first time since he's been here, I think we are an improving football team. Word for word, what he told me.
Yeah, I think he's going to get. I think it's a given that if he gets to 500, Scott's not going to be able to fire him. So I don't think Scott wants to fire unless he has to. That's just an opinion. All right, we got basketball coming up here pretty quick. They're going to be quite good. They got some length. They got some athletic players. They got some experience coming back. Give me the schedule coming up soon and what you're excited about.
I'm excited about the fact that I think we're a perimeter team, better than even we were last year on the perimeter. I think Elijah Martin is a big difference maker. As much as I liked our point guard last year. I mean, Zion Pullen was just terrific. I think we're not going to miss a beat with Walter Clayton Jr. Playing there, and with Denzel Aberdeen coming to give him a spell. Elijah Martin can play there some too. And Elijah Martin is an absolute pure T stud. This is a guy that is the reason that FAU made it to the Final Four. He is that good. He is a difference maker. And you put him in there, and you've heard me use the term basketball player sometimes, or a football player. When I say that, those are guys that will find a place to play. They may not be, you put a guy out there and you say, well, he's playing the point, and you say, this guy's a basketball player. A basketball player is going to find a place to play, whether it's at the point or the wing or wherever. He'll find that place to play and he'll fit in. And that's what Elijah Martin is. And you got to have a guy like that on your team. But all your great teams have a guy like that. All of them do. And this guy can really do it. They got the size. I think they're as big a team as there is in the country.
How big could they go if they put all their bigs on the court?
I think we could see some lineups like this where you have Condon and Chinyelo, who is the big Nigerian kid. He's about 6. They list him 6'10". He looks bigger than that. I mean, maybe it's just because he's so wide. Condon is 7 feet, and this kid's at least 6'11". And I think they'll put Thomas Hawk out there an awful lot too. Only play him, and when they really want to mismatch people, because he's a big 6'9", 6'10" kid who can put the ball on the deck and handle the ball. He can shoot. He can do all the things that a 6'5" small forward can do at 6'9", 6'10". So I think they can do that. They're flexible enough, buddy, that they can beat people with their size, or they can beat people with their quickness, or beat people with their perimeter shooting. I'm really impressed with how Todd's built this team together.
Great stuff from Franz Beard. Be sure and read them. If you're not reading them on Gator Bay, you're missing out. Go with all those other fine writers, Carlton and Recess, and good pieces up there. Check us out on Gator Bay. And Franz, thank you, my friend. Have a good night. Hope all goes well at home. All right?
No, I appreciate that.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Franz Beard bringing it to us tonight again, as he always does. And I want to tell you about one more thing before you go to bed. I want to tell you about Renstar Medical Research. It's important to me that you get this information because there are people who are proactive in our health. They're putting on clinical trials constantly to find better ways to treat our illnesses. And if you don't know what a clinical trial is, you can look it up, go to Renstar, find out about their clinical trials. They have all kinds, everything from measles to asthma to you name it. And you can be a part of these clinical trials. It'd be very helpful to them if you would, and get paid time and travel to do this in order to get the information they need to send off to these prescription companies to get the kind of prescriptions we need in our area. I suggest you give them a shot and find out why they say Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. I want to thank all of our special guests tonight. Always great to have our cast on, and also to our sponsors once again. Appreciate them sponsoring us, including Renstar and our friends at Meldon Law and Titan MRI, all supporting this program. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow night, Lauren Meadows will be here. Check it out right here on the Buddy Barton Show.